Welcome to my sewing room. My name is Becca, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the contents for the Precuts Classic and the Precuts Modern subscription box. These are both a subscription box that you can get, obviously quilting themed, from Precuts Quilt Shop and Craft. They both cost $59.95, which includes your shipping. The classic box is traditionally more something that's going to be focused on a project, whereas the modern is kind of a stash builder box with a bonus pattern. Let's dive in and see what we got for February, because I cannot wait. One of them feels like there might be a pattern book, and that excites me. So let's just dive in and see what we have. I'm going to start with this one first, and I've already cut the padded envelope, but I haven't actually looked at it. That's everything that's inside. Let's just toss it away. We don't need it anymore. We have our little booklet that tells us about everything that's down inside. I'll use this as we go through and look at each item, but I do want to let you know there's an announcement on the back, and you'll see it as you're flipping through this. If you were doing the block of the month with them for 2021, it is wrapping up this month, so you have your final block plus all of your finishing instructions for the quilt top. Oh, look, this month they have cut the edge of the tissue paper to be scallop edge, which is part of what their logo has. They have that scallop edge around their logo. I'm going to pull the tape, rip it open, and this is what we have this month. The first item that we have is a small spool of Metler cotton thread. It is in this really pretty blue, which you're going to see will actually match our fabric quite nicely. It's a small spool, 50 weight cotton thread. The retail value on this is $4. We have a must-have notion. I don't know about you, but I love getting rotary blades in my subscription boxes because we can always use them. So we have a 45mm Olfa rotary blade. This is just a single pack. There's only one in here. And these little plastic discs that they come in, I find are actually really useful for putting old blades in. So usually I'll keep one of these plastic containers set aside. I'll put a label on it that says old blades. And then anytime I change out my rotary blades, I put them in there and I don't have to worry about it getting loose and cutting somebody. I have a hard time putting loose needles or rotary blades in the trash. And I'm sure you probably agree with me. The retail value on this item, by the way, is $9.99. And it says on the back of this that all you need to put this together is a layer cake, so 40 10-inch squares. You need a 5/8 yard of fabric for your binding, and then 4 yards of fabric for your background. And you can see this is a pretty background intensive quilt, so you're going to need a lot of yardage for that. We have a 5/8 yard cut of fabric, which is meant to be used as your binding. I happen to get a cut of fabric from the line that the layer cake is from, and I'll show you that to you in just a second. But the pamphlet actually says that you might not get a cut from that line. You may get a coordinating print from some other line, and that's because of shipping delays and all the other things. So I actually got a print that is from this line, which makes me quite happy, but some of you may not get that, and the reason is from fabric and shipping delays, but they did their best to make sure to match the binding fabric, which is what this is supposed to be for, to the layer cake that they've given to you. Speaking of layer cake, this is what we have. We have an entire layer cake of the Morning Light line by Lindsay Cole McRae. I am not taking apart this layer cake to show you each individual piece. Instead, let me give you some imagery right here on the screen of what this fabric line actually looks like. The pamphlet says, in the heat of midsummer, I love to wake early and get out into the garden at dawn. I gather gardening gloves and a trowel and amble across the lawn as the morning dew dampens my shoes and makes spiderwebs sparkle. I'm there to pull weeds, but I also pause to sip my coffee, listen as the stillness is punctuated by bird calls, and glimpse the light through the rustling leaves. Whether it's glancing up as the rising sun silhouettes the massive walnut trees, or looking down to discover ants parading along the flagstones in a tidy line, these early mornings give me time to think and to breathe. Morning light brings those moments to my mind, when the world is quiet and the garden reminds us there is beauty every day. That's the classic box. Now it's time to dive into the modern box. And this is the one that I feel like there could be a pattern book inside, and it makes me quite happy. I'm ripping open the envelope. I can feel it. It feels like a book. Here is everything inside, and they did do the scalloped tissue paper on this as well. Don't need that anymore. This, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to see what we have. Okay, let me get things organized and we'll dive right in. We have the same pamphlet. This one's for the modern box, not the classic. We'll use this to go through all of our items as well. We have a beautiful postcard pattern that retails for $2. This is called the Movie Star Quilt Pattern by Villa Rose Designs. And it says to make this, you're going to need 8 fat quarters, 1 fat quarter for the center, 1.5 yards for the border, and then 5/8 yard for the binding. So, you know, we have a fat quarter bundle in this bag or box. So technically you have all the fat quarters that you need to make this. You just need to bring your border fabric and your binding. In fact, if you bring enough border fabric and binding, you could make this quilt a couple times over. The quilt, by the way, when it's all done, will measure 53 inches by 68 inches. So the book that we got is actually not a pattern book. It is a planner, but it's not a dated planner, which I super appreciate, especially since it's March. This is a retail value of $19.95. Take a look at what this thing is. So first up, it's got a nice cover. It's not quite soft cover, but it's not quite hard cover. There's enough of a yap, I'm not even sure what the right term is, I think it's yap, to actually cover the pages so they don't get torn or messed up. On the side, it's nice and flush, but inside, it is actually spiral bound, and the spiral here is not so big that you can't get to either page. You have multiple sections in here. You have some quick tips. You have a section for my year, which kind of has just a undated task list for the entire year, January through December. So that's really nice. And then you've got some events that you can track here too. Again, this is undated, so you can fill this in as you need. You have a project planning section, which is the meat and potatoes of this. Each section is color-coded. So the first project is blue, the second project is green, so on and so forth. Each project gives you a page that gives you a project overview, your task checklist, your fabric and supplies, some wrap-up information, notes to remember for next time, some Notion templates and tools that you might need to buy or to have on hand. And then you have some inspiration, swatch areas where you can draw out your quilt or maybe you're quilting. And then you move on to the next one. So 4 pages for each project, nothing too crazy, just enough to kind of practice your block layout or your quilting and keep important notes about your project. You have a tracking logs area, which is where you can track your quilt gifts. Your charity quilt tracker, your quilt-alongs, bees, and mystery quilts, your class tracker, your retreat tracker, a quilt show tracker, and quilts on loan. Oh, and my library, so that's really cool. You have a contact section for those of you that want that. And then a reference section that gives you all of these tips and tricks for quilty stuff. This is phenomenal, and I can't wait to put it to use. I'm super excited to have this, and I could see myself buying one of these for every year, probably multiple of them. This is awesome. This is a great way to kind of keep a catalog of what you're working on, but then when you're done, you can go back and look at it and be like, oh yeah, I remember that project. I could see even printing out a picture of each quilt after it's finished and kind of putting it in the planner, and then when this is all filled up, you can put it on your shelf as a little memory book for your projects. That's awesome. This is great. I can't wait to use it. It did get a bit of love from the Postal Service though, but I think that just adds character. The pages are in pristine condition. And by the way, the paper quality in this book is phenomenal. So highly recommend you check this out. I can't wait to use this. Now let's move on to what you guys all really want to see. And that's the fat quarter bundle we got in the modern box. We have a 16-piece fat quarter bundle of the Nocturnal line by Gingerbread. I am not normally a Gingerbread fan, but this fabric line has been calling my name, and I actually have been adding it to my cart and taking it out in several different shops. And I'm super glad that I held off just a little bit because now I have my own little collection of this fabric bundle. Take a look at what this fabric line is. Stacy Bloomfield is the face behind Gingerbread that designed this fabric, and she gave us a bit of a write-up about this line. Let me read you what she says. Imagine a starry sky where flowers bloom in the moonlight and your favorite forest friends scamper through the trees. That is the inspiration for Nocturnal. You are going to fall in love with the moody florals, the trotting foxes, and roaming bears, all painted in the perfect colors for this imagery. The delightful panel features my signature animal illustrations. You can mix them with prints or use them on their own. The projects we've created for Nocturnal are brilliant, from a patchwork owl to a modern sunlit sky. Nocturnal will have you longing to take your quilt into the moonlight, laying beneath the stars and enjoying the beauty of a nocturnal world. And by the way, that panel is not included in this month's box, just those lovely fat quarters. I'm super excited to have this to add to my stash. I don't have a project identified for it yet, but I am telling you, I have two sisters and one of them loves owls, and she's going to see this fabric and she's going to freak. And it feels really soft too. Oh my gosh, I can't get over the fabric and the planner. This month, the Modern Box was, oh my goodness, light years beyond for me. I love the Modern Box. I love the pattern, I love the fabric, and I love the planner, and I can't wait to dive into the planner, and I'm dreaming up some lovely projects that I could use this fabric for. I'd love to know which one was your favorite. Did you like the classic box, or did you like the Modern Box this month? Leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel, and come on back Friday nights at 8 p.m. where we sew live right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys all then. Bye! Modern quilt